Okay, I'm going to have to go through that one more time because it wasn't recorded, so just hang in there. I'll make it quick. Chris Del Rey, national team, Senior C. The first time he ever got on a rowing machine was because it was part of the testing protocol, fit testing protocol for Senior C. And he fell in love with the machine, and since then, over a period of 2 years, he's attended 2 world championships and won gold and silver medals. How do you like that, Del Rey?
That was pretty darn impressive, Pat.
Okay, I'm passing you the host. Okay, Chris, welcome aboard. It's all you.
Thanks, Coach. First of all, I like looking at the screen over here because I see all my teammates and friends and fellow paddlers. We get each other, and that's the beautiful thing about this sport. I'm Chris Ray. I paddle for Team DPW in Los Angeles. I paddle for Southern Heat in Florida. And I also paddle for the U.S. National Dragonboat team.
Chris, can I just interrupt you for a second? I know you're trying to have 2 videos going or 2 screens going. Right now, we don't see you at all. We just see a picture of you, a black and white.
Okay, hold on one second.
I see him. You have to pin the live one.
How do I do that?
So,
you click on
yeah,
pin.
I'm right there.
Review.
Yeah, you should be able to see it.
Does everybody see him?
Yeah, there were 2 views of him. One was just a profile picture and the other was him live. And you have to like go to the upper right corner of his picture and click on pin video to get the right one. Find the right one first,
Okay.
and then click on that.
I see a few heads nodding that they're not getting it either. So I'm going to try.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me pin. I'm going to pin this.
He's wearing a red
Did that work?
shirt and he's sitting in his work.
No, we have to pin it. We have to pin it. You don't. It doesn't matter if you.
Okay.
Your garage is impressively clean.
Okay, guys, I'm trying to, every time you speak, you're coming up full screen. I should be on speaker view, correct? Gallery view. Okay, I'm on gallery view, and then what do I do? Because all I see is Rose's picture on all my entire screen here. I know, thanks for that. And I've got, how do I find Chris? I don't know how to.
Go to gallery.
Yeah.
Just keep looking in the gallery, and he's in there twice. One is just the picture with him.
Okay, got it. Sorry about the delay, guys. I've got it. I hope everybody else does. Could everybody please mute now? Okay, Chris, you're on, and we're all muted.
He's muted too, so I can't hear anything he's saying.
Yeah, you're muted, Chris. We're not hearing anything from you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, so we're all going to mute now.
Yes. Okay, so we're all going to mute now. All right.
You have feedback on the computer.
Let me silence this. Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, now I can't. Now, hold. You know what? I'm going to unmute this. Hold on. And then just mute this. All right, we're just going to go with this. Hopefully this works. Is this better?
Much better.
Okay. Anyway, back to it. Again, Chris Del Rey. Hopefully you can see this. This is my story. In fact, there's 3 pages to my story. 1, 2, 3 pages. And this is how my story turned into these medals. And it turned into a gold medal in the US for 500 meter at the World Championships in Senior F. Turned into a gold medal in virtual indoor rowing for 500 meters. turned into the silver medal this past February in Paris, and it turned into 8 gold medals with Team USA in Pattaya, Thailand. And as Coach said earlier, it started with Hungary. I was in Hungary for the IDBF Club Crew World Championships, and I was introduced to him by Dan Rodriguez. And he says, hey, you should think about trying out for the US team. I says, gosh, I don't even know how to do that. He says, well, there's the coach over there. So he brought Pat over, and Pat came over and we had a little chat, and he got my email number. And so then or email address. And shortly thereafter, I started receiving these emails about camps and tryout camps coming up. And one of the emails that would be sent out was regarding this thing called a fit test, which I hadn't really heard of. And it had all these different disciplines, these 1-minute push-ups. You guys all know about this stuff. It was the reverse bench row. It was the run. On that list was the erg. And I looked at it and I went, erg, well, I think I've seen these with a paddle adapter, but I'm really not familiar with this machine. And so I thought, well, maybe I should buy one. So I bought a...
The pictures disappeared.
What's that?
Your picture, your video has disappeared. All I'm seeing now is your profile picture.
You know what? I'm gonna do it from here then. Let me stop video, hopefully. Excuse me for a moment. There we go. So I'll just do it from here. Can you guys see me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I will continue on. So is that better for whoever was saying that? Hopefully that's good. All right. I see nodding from Pat. So anyway, I bought this erg machine that I'm sitting on right now. It's a used machine. And I started training on the erg. And one of the things that the coach put on the erg fit test was how many meters can you paddle in 2 minutes? And so first time I did it was like a 630 something. And the second time I did it, it was a 654, and I handed that 654 in. And so coach said, whoa, that was pretty good. And I go, oh, so I think I had a conversation with him, and he says, I haven't had a 634 or 635, and that was 8 years ago. You had a 654. And I went, huh. So I just figured I was going to be in the middle of the pack. Went to the Florida camp, and I had people coming up to me, and they were saying, are you the guy who did the 654? And I go, yeah. And I thought, still middle of the pack. And just had people coming up saying, are you the guy who did the 654? So I went, oh, it must be a thing or something. And finally one guy named Paul Flack, came up to me and said, Chris, I've been rowing for a long time. And I row in Washington, D.C. and Virginia. And I've been on the erg, and I do world championships. And he says, and you beat what I can do by a bunch. You should really consider doing the world's, this upcoming worlds that's going to be in January in Long Beach. And I thought, wow, how perfect is that? I don't have to go very far. I just got to go down the freeway. So I thought, why not? You know, why not try out? And so I had encouragement from him, and started doing these erg workouts a little bit. I only had like maybe a month or 6 weeks to prepare. And then I went to the Worlds there, and I was able to take first place in the 500 meter and got a gold medal. So for that period, I was #1 in the world. And then what I started realizing, how the erg improved my paddling. It really strengthened my core. It strengthened my back. It strengthened my shoulders. Cardio, it just blasts you. So as I was doing these workouts, the beginning was basically, I really hated this machine. I mean, it was awful. It made me sick. Didn't like the way it made me feel. It just takes a lot out of me. And then as it started going along, the real-time data that you look at as you're training starts becoming addictive, because now every time you do a piece, you want to beat that piece. And then the next piece, you want to beat that. And then I would be doing these 500-meter tests and 2,000-meter tests every week, and they were pretty tough. But as I'm doing my training with the erg, I found that, you know, just things kept on improving and kept on improving. And so after the Worlds in Long Beach, then we had Pattaya, Thailand coming up. And then I was basically doing the Conrad land workouts, which was for strength, and then was combining together with the erg workouts as well. So we went to Pattaya, and of course you guys all know what happened there. Total of 11 gold medals. The men got 4, and then in the mix we got 4, and then of course the women got 3 gold medals. And I got to say, personally, I felt fantastic for the week, and I do a lot of it. Obviously, was the great coaching by Coach Pat and Conrad, but also the erg, I got to tell you, did the world for me, and just you know, got me to a point where you could do back-to-back races and still have a lot in the tank. Then after Thailand, there was another few before actually about 3 months before the Paris World Championship. So I thought, well, this is exciting, flying to Paris, going against probably more Europeans because they don't have to travel as far. And so did that, and I'm going to show you the video of what happened there. And then shortly after, because of COVID, they had the first 1,000-meter World Championship virtual. And so I competed in that. And there was a lot of people that participated in that one. Obviously, I competed in my age division. And it was, you know, Australia and Germany and Italy and Russia and all over. And I was able to get the gold in the 1,000 meters. So that, you know, that is my story there. It's what's keeping me sane during this time. I'm still beating myself up right here in this garage. And I'm just want to make sure that I'm race ready for the next virtual erg race. And then whenever COVID blows over, hoping that we can all get in the boat and then we can train together. But the erg for me makes me race ready. I train on this 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, and it's become not even just a routine, it's a habit, and it has now worked into a part of my life. If I don't train on it, I feel horrible. I feel just, you know, mentally I feel guilty. I feel not happy. But when I get my training done, a lot of times it's done in the morning, so I just have a great rest of the day. I can't talk enough about this, so if it's something that might be challenging for you or whatever, just face it. The more you do it, the more your body gets used to it. You'll start getting used to pain. You'll start getting used to a little bit more where you're at that, you know, 3 or 4 minutes into a race, and then you'll surprise yourself that you do have more in the tank, and you could probably go another 3 or 4 minutes at a race pace. So that's basically my story. And I'm going to show you a little bit of the race.
Chris, just so you know, the video is pretty grainy. So is the link to the, just be aware of that. I don't know if you optimized the video.
Oh, yeah. So I have to do the share screen.
Yeah.
Right. And now I'm going to do both. So hopefully it won't be too grainy. And share. Can you guys see that okay? Coach, how is that right there?
Yeah, it's come up.
Okay, here we go.
You want to tell them where you are in the picture?
I'm dead center. I'm dead
Stadia
center
streams games
inside
directly from Google's data centers to your
and I'm next to the
devices.
guy in the line.
The longer you're subscribed to Stadia Pro, and the more free games you claim, the larger your collection will be.
Triathlons.
Stuff, make sure that we
So
know
I'm
which
that guy
flywheels
right
are
there,
moving, which aren't,
and there's
so that
the
every single
champion
one
of
is at a
Europe.
complete stop before
And let's get this thing, excuse me for the buffering.
the starting umpire calls them to attention. It's a beautiful place here and such a fitting venue for this 2020 World Rowing Indoor Championships. Stade Pierre de Coubertin. He proposed the Olympic motto of Citius, Altius, Fortius, faster, higher, stronger, and that's what everybody's competing for here today. To
leaderboard, you wanna watch it?
the top of the record
Yeah, the
tables for
leaderboard
their
will
age
be on the
category.
left upper corner.
All the flywheels are at a
Coming up
standstill.
shortly.
There we have it, the
right
first
there.
buzzer of the first World Rowing Indoor Championship 2020 race to set them off. Very fast stuff from Anton Salu, who's basically arms only to get them moving. You can see on the big screen in the background, we've got all of those virtual boats moving to try and give us an indication of who is out in front. We're going to try and bring you the latest of the action of
there's the
every
leaderboard in the
single
top left-hand
step
corner.
here. Anton Salu out in front. From Hervé Bouquel from France. They're both down at 1.23 split time. Amazingly impressive this. Ergo 19 is Hervé Bouquel. Very, very measured stuff. He's a couple of ergos over from Anton Salu, who's really giving it absolutely everything. A very long stroke there now, really pulling up at the finish, Anton Salu. But the pressure's on. Hervé Bouquel from France, the Reims Rowing Club. He was targeting a 129, so if he manages to hold on to this split, he could well outdo Anton Salu and win this for France. Things moving around quickly here. Christopher Del Rey from the USA is only 5 meters off the pace. He's on ergo number 15, right alongside Anton Salu. That's him on the left of this picture here. They're pushing it. They're into the last 100 meters now, so really trying to wind it up. Anton Salu back in front again. Nothing separating them here. It's less than a meter. They're level again. This is going to be tight right up to the last stroke. Anton Salu seems to be pushing it again. He drifts across the line. Oh, it's a fraction of a second there. Exactly half a second separating Anton Salu for Estonia to win in 126.3 ahead of Christopher Del Rey from.
And that basically is the race. And I'm going to throw it. Do you want to coach, or did you want to do a Q&A if there was any questions?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions for Chris on that, I just want to add my congratulations to it. I watched that live. Liz and I watched it live when you were doing it, racing in Paris, and it was thrilling. It's a huge event. I had no idea the events were so, in scope were that big. And he was rowing against people that were former Olympians and national team champions from all these different countries in different paddling and rowing sports. So good on you, Chris. That's amazing, especially since you just started the sport. So
appreciate that, Coach.
I have a question, if I may. Chris, I happened to watch it live too. I think we had Southern Heat practice that day, and Pat had alerted us to it. And one of the most satisfying parts of that was the fact that the announcers were pretty much ignoring you. You came out of nowhere. They were stunned, I think. But I think like a lot of people, I tuned in because I wanted to get better at the erg and to hear what you do to get better. But it sounds kind of like you're a freak of nature and you just got on it and did it well. But do you have any advice for us how we can improve?
Yes. What I would recommend is find somebody who can provide you a specific workout. Now, I have a workout that I do, and I took it from a CrossFit guy, and it was 3 weeks to a better 2,000 meters. And it's very specific. It's 5 days in a row for 3 weeks. And he did a test with his CrossFit group within his gym, and he then showed all the improvements. So the link that I could send to Coach and he can send out to everybody kind of talks about it. talks about the erg and you know, how do you maximize your times. And then it's the specific workout. It's, you know, day 1, do this, day 2 is optional, but I do the optional days. Day 3, do this. And so it mixes sprints with distance and tells you about where you should be based on your ability. So, you know, it might have you do a 2,000 meter. And then so some of the workouts will say, okay, do a 500 and you're going to do your 500 split time when you did your 2,000 meter minus 3 seconds or minus 2 seconds. So it's a very specific workout. And for me, it's worked really, really well. And depending on what you're trying to do, this workout I thought worked really, really well. There's also the US team has an erg workout as well that I abided to, and it also is equally, I'll sometimes, just so I don't get bored with one workout, I'll alternate between the US national team Dragonboat workout and then the 3 weeks to a better 2000 workout. And yeah, because it changes up every day, it makes it fun. It doesn't make it boring. Yeah, it's painful, but what I've learned, because I don't like pain, I like being comfortable. But by working with the erg, because it does work every part of your body, your legs, your abs, your back, your shoulders, your arms, your cardio, you start getting used to the pain, and then you start seeing where you can sprint. So before I thought I can only sprint with 200 meters to go when I do a 2,000, and now I know I can sprint with 500 meters to go, even though you think, at 250, 500 left, oh my God, I'm not gonna make 500. You get to 250, then it's just lights out and you go, you know what, I've done this before, I know I can do it. And then you have the confidence to just go, you know, as coach says, go dark. It is truly going dark. That's when the tunnel vision starts, but you know that you're gonna live with that time for a long time, and it's worth going dark for sure.
That's awesome, thank you.
And we have time for another question. Liz gave you the big thumbs up for going dark. She likes that.
I have a question.
Oh, can we let Ann back in? Is she still waiting to get admit?
I gave a question on chat.
Okay, let me look at the questions on chat. Hold on one moment.
I can just ask you.
Sorry, if I can interrupt for just a sec. Chris, can you go to participants and let somebody in, please, since you're the host?
Participants. Oh yeah, here we go.
You see waiting room?
Okay, yep, yeah, joining.
And just admit anybody that's there?
Yep.
Great.
Hey, Chris?
Yes.
So I noticed on the that the gold medal winner, and you were so close to getting that gold medal, but I noticed that he had a different start on that than you had. You had sort of like what I do is, in a time trial, like go, you know, have shorter. Anyway, your starts were completely different, and I was wondering what your opinion is about those two approaches.
My approach was not the good approach. It was a mistake. Something I probably should have worked on more, and now I have a specific start. I probably lost the gold medal. It would have been a great upset with this guy because they just kept talking about him, and it was just grating on me like, I was doing a lot of arms, and really what I should have done is I should have, and since I'm on this, I should have, let me get this out. I should have just been slightly bent and then drive with my legs more instead of going all arms. That probably was the difference because I missed gold medal by a half a second. So now I have a 6 where I'm going, it's slightly bent here and I'm driving, and then I'll go, and then I don't go all the way, and then drive a little more, and then I drive all the way. That is a better way to go. So I have a sequence of 6, kind of like a beginning of a dragon boat. And I've noticed that it has improved. I'm able to get a lower split out of the gate. I just thought, yeah, I'll just get the thing really spinning, but what I'm losing is the power, and the wheel could actually feel that. So answer to that is I I made a mistake. The guy had a better start than me. And if you noticed on the leaderboard on the left, he was first out of the gate and I was third out of the gate. And that was the difference.
We've got time for one more question. Liz, did you had your hand up there. Did you have a question? No? Okay. All right. Christopher, that was awesome. Thanks. I'm a firm believer in the erg as well. I know it makes us stronger. If you've got a chance to get on a machine and spend time on it, then I certainly recommend it. And we've got Katie just down the road in Orlando with her studio, always there to provide support. So, and I think she's even conducting Zoom classes on her with her ergs now. If you can find an erg in a gym somewhere, climb on it and hook into her class. Anyway, thanks, Chris. Really proud of you. You're a great inspiration to the team and to all of us. I don't know that we'll ever catch you, but you keep us chasing anyway.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. You guys are my inspiration. One last shout out. I do want to thank all my coaches. Thanks to Coach Salazar, Nathan Salazar. He's the one who got me into Dragonboat racing, encouraged me when I was just, so bad. And I'm still learning, so I'm not there yet. And I want to thank Coach Pat for teaching me all about the international level, and Liz, what an inspiration he has been to me, and I think he is to all of us. I think we have some very rare coaches. To me, they are the best in the world. And for the U.S. team, I'm just so excited to vote with you guys in Hong Kong. So God bless you guys.
Thanks, Chris. Chris, can you pass the host back to me, please?
Already did.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Hey, good boy. Okay. All right. Thanks for that, Chris. And you should stick around I know you've got something going on. But
yeah. I got a few minutes for sure.
Okay, our next guest is Doug Bedgood, nutty professor from the jungles of Central Florida. And I say that with love, Doug. I've known Doug for a lot of years. Doug was a competitive paddler, still has his hand in it. But more than that, Doug has got quite a history in terms of physiology and even medicine to some degree. And he's always looking at ways to improve the sport and looking ahead. And one of the things that he's most noted for is the Dragon saddle. He even started making masks for paddling. But Doug is going to talk to us about this whole Dragon saddle thing and how they're made and the history of it. So Doug, thanks for joining us. And I'm going to pass the host to you, Doug.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So hang on for a second.
You can hear me well, I hope.
Are you Douglas? You must be.
Yes, I am. I hope you can hear me.
Okay, you're the host, Doug. And yes, we can hear you.
Very good. Hi, gang. I hope everybody's doing well. I know it's a difficult time, but I know stay healthy. There's a lot of places I can start on this. I know Pat said I have a secret Dragon Saddle lab here in Florida, and so I don't know if you call it that or not, and I hope it doesn't rain because I moved this either in the house or in the back porch or preferably out here, and I'm not doing everything at once. I'm only doing one part of the project. So as far as history goes, we can start right over here, and I'm going to move my computer because it's better than my phone. If you can see this picture here, well, that's when I was 6 years old, so it's starting to rain now. I'm going to close it. Nothing I can do about the rain. Good timing, eh? I started making paddles when I moved to Hawaii, and I joined and helped to found the Keoho Canoe Club. And I made the paddles very primitively with, let me see if I can get this off. I grew up with horses, That's a horseshoe rasp. That's what I did for the handles. So we can start with that. I was a kid, the horses with their hoofs, and I started making paddles in Hawaii and at Keoho Bay. And of course, my sport that I fell in love with was outrigger canoe racing, OC6. Pretty wet around here right now. Where did that lead me? Well, my twin brother got cancer in Illinois, and so I went back there to see what I could do. And in the process of all that, I invented a product called the Aquatoner. And so we're going to go over here and see it. Man, it's raining. I'm getting under this umbrella. Yeah. Okay. And this over here is the Aquatoner that I invented. And actually, you can see that it comes from it evolved from a paddle, because here's these paddles, these 3 paddles here, and they expand out. It's got a handle on one side, even a foot attachment. Of course, you can't paddle with your feet, but I mean, you can use the Aquatoner with your feet. And I thought of people with arthritis first. It ended up being a product that was used for all kinds of therapy and strength conditioning and cross training in the water and in swimming pools. And so that's what the Aquatoner is. And then I wrote this book. This one's kind of wet, but I wrote this book about it. It's all about the Aquatoner. There's a lot in there, a lot of science and interesting stories too. In fact, if anybody wants one of these books, just let me know. Send me an email. I'll send you one for free if you pay the postage at dragonsaddle@gmail.com. Well, what happened from that was the Aquatoner was successful, standard equipment for many years. And I went back to the mainland with it. I went back to Hawaii, got my stuff, moved to California, did the marketing research, and then it became a successful product. Well, okay, fast forward a few decades to Key West. And so what happens in Key West? Stays in Key West. No, I'm just kidding. What happened in Key West was I met Simon Shum. You might know him. And they needed some paddlers, or they needed one paddler for a race in Tavares on the team that he was on called Puff in Miami. So I went there, did it. Fell in love with dragon boat racing, and started practicing with them. Every weekend I would rent a car and drive to Miami, practice. Did that for years. I hope we're still on with this water. And then, you know Paddle Chica, Kristen Stickles, paddlechica.com. She was on the team, and she's kind of thin, and she needed some help with her. She wanted to call them happy ass, these things. I made one. I just sewed it together very crudely, and it became the Dragon Saddle. Exactly. It hasn't ever changed. This is the 10th year anniversary. It's been going on for 10 years, this thing. There's 2 inserts inside. Later, I found out that, we can only have 1 insert because IDBF has requirements and rules. And if you can see this book here, this is the rule book for IDBF. All about exactly, mostly the thickness. You know, sure, it's comfortable, it's neoprene, very, very comfortable stuff, but it was 15 millimeters, so they had to take 1 insert out, so it would be 15 millimeters. I'm going to show you the table that I work at right here. Hey, how do you like that? Doing it in the rain and everything. It's a cut and sew, so I cut the pieces. I cut the top, I cut the bottom, and cut the inserts. I take the top and the bottom, and I drive to Orlando with about maybe, I don't know, 300 or 400 at a time, and drop them off and pick them up and go back and forth. You know, they do the sewing there in Orlando. bring it back here, put the inserts in, and ship them off to distributors. Now, who was the first people that actually bought these things? You know Kevin Kwok, you know Stephen Kwok and his sons. Well, Kevin Kwok, he is a true believer. He came and he paddled with Puff a few times. He was just a young kid then. And that's how I met him. And then when the 2012 championships were in Tampa, he ordered hundreds of the Dragon saddles for his friends and teams in Toronto. And then I met Kamini Jane. Kamini Jane is out in Vancouver. She's a big part of Dragonboat Canada. And she started being a distributor too out there for British Columbia. And so here's something that really was a changer for the seating. I asked Kamini, I'm trying to develop a slippery side on one of these Dragon saddles and a grippy side on the other, because it seems like if you anything that can help to move your body and not inhibit it from what it wants to do will be beneficial. And as long as IWBF doesn't care about if something's slippery on the top or not, it's only about the thickness, then it'll be fine. But I'm having trouble with all these prototypes I'm making. They're starting to break, the Mylars and different things. And she sent me a picture of her, she was an Olympic kayaker. And she sent me a photo of her kayak that she used in the Olympics, and it was lined on the inside with Teflon. So I thought, that's what to use. That's what to use, Teflon. So let's go over to this other table and see about that. Wow, all this water. This is something else. I'll bend this down so you can see it good. Yeah, I think you can see everything here. The Teflon comes in big rolls, and I have to buy it from DuPont. And it's not cheap. It's thick. It's thick Teflon. So I cut that into pieces. Fold the ends. Punch holes in it because nothing sticks to Teflon. So how the heck are you going to get it to stay on a Dragon saddle or any kind of material? Here's a secret, a manufacturing secret. You key it in. So you punch the holes in here. You put it inside. Oh yeah. And then you put the adhesive, which is a sealant. It's a rubberized elastomer. And then it all sets up under pressure. You know, about 50 pounds of pressure each one. That's how it stays in. Talking about Club Crew Championships. So 2 years ago in the Club Crew Championships, this was used and rejected. I thought, oh my God, all this work I've done and they rejected this. Well, where's that little thing? Anyway, you measure this grip part that I have on here, and this one down here, it's 20 meters, not 15. So that's why they rejected it. It wasn't because of the clips, which makes it very easy to, oh, here it is. There's the measurement right there. Very easy to put it onto the bench and to take off the bench, you know, like that. But wow, they're really something to make. In fact, I have a piece of a special polymer. There it is right there, made in Orlando. And then I take that grinder, I cut them in strips, and then I take the grinder and then I shape it. So, I mean, there's a lot to making these things. And then finally, last year, Team USA used a lot of the super saddle light. I call them super saddles. And super saddle light is, it's only 10 millimeters plus this. And you know, if they want to include the Velcro, it's still under 15 millimeters. And so that was a super saddle light. And we just had the round grip here Now I've changed it to a little bit of a curve. This is the slip out on the gunnel side, and this is to give you just a little bit of a momentum on the pivot. Like I said before, it doesn't inhibit anything that you can do. If you have the potential, you can reach your potential with these. Now I'm going to go back over to the paddles that I was making in Hawaii and show you that I didn't really become a concept engineer until 1982. And, yeah, I'm almost 80, that's right. Here, okay. These are the paddles. Eventually I was coaching for the Keauhou Bay, and I was coaching the 18-year-old boys. There's 21 crews in an outrigger club, different ages and everything. So my crew was the 18-year-old boys. One was from California, and some were from Kona. I was in Kona, and two were from Tahiti. And so I had the opportunity to make different paddles and see what I could do with hydrodynamics. And one thing that I could do was these, call them puka paddles. Puka in Hawaii means whole. So if you could see this, see that? And this paddle, it's an outrigger paddle. See that shape? What did that do? Driving the paddle at the catch, it pulled the paddle down deeper, quicker. That's what it did. Of course, you know, why spend a week making a paddle? It just didn't. You can do all kinds of things with outrigger paddles, but you can't do it with dragon boat paddles. Dragon boat paddles are symmetrical. I made this one out of rosewood. They're very symmetrical. They're standardized, and they have to be a certain everything. There are very strict rules about dragon boat paddles. What else can I show you here? Let's see here. Yeah, the rolls of neoprene, they come in boxes from FedEx. This is just one, and the rest of it's in the house. And there's all the rolls, and then I put them on the table and cut them into the pieces that I need to take to sewing, and then ship them out. Now what happened this year? Not much. In January, I bought all kinds of material. I thought it's the 10th anniversary. It was going to have a big year here with the material. Bought all the material for the year, for the season. And it didn't happen. I got a couple of orders, you know, one from Vince Potts. He takes care of all the Amazon stuff for me. I'm sure you know all these people. Face masks. That's what I started to do with the material. I started to make face masks. And that was in March, like about the middle of March. And I've been making them ever since. I've got another order all weekend. I'm going to be making masks because yesterday, I'm in Mount Dora. Yesterday, the commissioners are now requiring face masks to be used in public places. I think it's the only city in Lake County that's doing that, and it's probably going to be all over the county. It's just starting now because it's really bad here in Florida. And I'm really careful about where I go. I go to the gym for a couple of things. I missed my cycling class this morning for you guys, but yeah, I keep my distance and I wear a mask all the time. A tight mask, not just a piece of cotton. I make them out of. I use filters that are NOAA approved certified filters for 99.5% efficiency on the virus. So that's the evolution from the horses, the rasp, to making the paddles, to making the paddles into aquatoners. And then, well, how did it go from the aquatoner to the dragon saddle? Let's see this neoprene here. When Kristen Stickles needed something to sit on, I had this material from the aquatoner to make this for her. And then I made 20 of them for a puff for the whole team so we could all be comfortable. And then going around to the different races in Florida, they wanted them. So, I mean, I didn't start with, I'm going to make a big business out of this. I was, you know, just definitely into paddling. but it did turn out to be, I don't know, there must be more than 150,000 dragon saddles out in the world right now, over the 10-year period, that is, not in 1 year. So I'm going to do the hosting thing, get my glasses, and do the hosting thing back to Pat or Mike Mondrell if he's ready.
Can
and
you?
If there's any questions or anything.
Yeah, why don't you hold on before you?
I'll be
Why don't you?
right back.
Commercial break.
By the way, it wasn't supposed to rain until 2 o'clock. And never believe these weather people.
Okay, Doug, can you hear me?
Let's put my earphones on.
Good idea.
I hope Mike is ready for this.
Doug, can you hear me? Doug. Doug, don't do anything yet.
I'm all wired up here.
Yeah, no, you're not. Not yet, you're not. Doug, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, don't touch anything. Okay?
Oh, you're gonna de-host me yourself, aren't you?
No, Doug, just hold on. It was really interesting. Really.
Oh, wait. I gotta say one more thing. You guys were looking for the secret lab. It's in here. It's in here. That's where it's at. Okay, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we got time for a couple of quick questions if anybody has any. So don't pass the host off yet, okay, Doug? We got just a couple of minutes, then we're going to wrap up with Mondrell. Where you going? He can't hear you. He doesn't have his things in.
Got to put my thinking cap on.
Yeah, okay.
Remember in school, you put your thinking cap on and then you do the math? Okay.
Okay, so I think there's a question for you from somebody who's starting to...
So let it ride.
Who's got a question for Doug?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I just want to thank Doug. That Teflon pad is awesome. You literally saved my butt on the boat. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm happy that you said that.
Any other comments?
Hi, this is Hema. I bought one. I got to meet you at the villages, and I bought one. And I was planning to take it to Thailand with me, and you were amazing. You were able in a few days to prepare the ones that were
oh my gosh,
lawful to use.
Oh yeah, ask Liz about that. I mean, wow, it was an emergency.
I have to thank you because it was stressful to think that I couldn't use it. And you came through, and thank you very much.
Robert McNamara, I don't know, I must have sent 50 of them to him for all his team. I mean, it was emergency. It was like I had 1 week to make almost 100 of those things and replace the one that was a predecessor of it because they weren't going to accept it.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Very welcome. Very welcome. Where's Mike?
I'm here.
Let's see what he's doing with the board. What kind of board? You going to have a paddle board or something?
Okay. Doug, that was a great presentation. Chris has got a final question for you.
How do I get one of your seats?
Just email me, dragonsaddle@gmail.com, and I'll respond to you.
Okay, great. Would love to get one.
Perfect.
Hey, I did this in the rain. Did you see that round pour?
Okay. Doug, thanks a lot. That was really awesome. It was very entertaining as well. I had no idea about your history with some of that stuff and that.
I know. I didn't even tell you about the turbine, the tidal turbines in Key West.
Well, we'll do that.
Electricity from turbines. I had permits from the Army Corps of Engineers and NOAA to do turbines to produce power from the water that was going between the tidal amplitudes between the islands and the Keys. It's like, well, that's where all my money went to make the prototypes and to get the permits. But I had to give it up. The real estate went down, and I barely had enough to buy this house over here and keep going with the Dragon Saddle. So
All right. Well, anyway, that was great. Thanks for that. You blow me away with all the experience, all the things you've done. You are an inventor, and you wear that moniker, the Nutty Professor, proudly. I know you do. I just want to echo to everybody else that you saved a lot of butts. I see your. I've been around a little bit, and I've seen your dragon saddles everywhere. So good on you. The one thing that we don't have time to talk about it now, but the one thing that sort of caught my interest was your engineering of the holes in the OC6 paddle, where that the water would suck it down. It would suck it down deeper.
It did.
That's very interesting. So anyway, thanks a ton, Doug. That was great. And if you could pass the host over to Mike Mondrell now for a wrap up and a Mondrell moment, that would be awesome. Thanks again, Doug. Get out of the rain.
Okay, thanks. It was a pleasure.
Get a new forecast app on your phone.
Good job, Doug.
Pat, my computer got wet, and I'm not going to be able to de-host me yourself, if you can.
How did I do that last time?
I've got a blank screen here, and the computer got all wet in the rain. Oh, here's Mackie Mac.
How did I do that?
You did it before, and Liz did it too.
Okay, reclaim host. Here I go.
There you go.
Okay, Mondrell, I'm going to pass this. I'm going to pass this over to you, Mondrell, and Doug, if you could mute yourself, that'd be great.
That's right. Stay safe, everybody.
There you go. Here comes your Mondrell moment. Mondrell is the host.
Okay, it says you are now the host, so I must be up. Okay, Mondrell here with another Mondrell moment. The title of today's episode is The Crabby Crabber. So I coached the women's team up here in Minocqua, and a couple of weeks ago we were out on the water, and where we keep our boat is a big chain of lakes. We're sort of in the last pool. So it's pretty safe. There's not a lot of boat traffic because they can't get anywhere once they get in there. There's no leads to other lakes. So we pretty much stay in our own little pool. To leave our little pool of water, we have to go under a footbridge, which is about 20 feet up. And there's only like one opening to go through the to go pass underneath the bridge to the other side. And there's a public boat launch over there, a lot more boat traffic, and that leads to other lakes, a lot of water over there. We had never gone over there until a couple of weeks ago. I decided it was time to do a little adventure and go under the footbridge. So we passed through the footbridge, and when you go through the footbridge to get to the other side, there's just a narrow opening. Two boats can probably pass each other in there, but it's probably safer if just one boat goes through at a time. So we made it over to the other side, and a lot of interesting things to see over there. A little bit more boat traffic. So we conducted our practice over there. Then on the way back, as I approached the bridge opening to come through back to our little pond of water, there was a power boat coming up from the other side. And we approached the opening at the same time. So I asked on the boat, I said, does anybody know the rules? Who has the right of way? And the girl sitting in the back of the boat closest to me in C10, she said, well, you have the right of way. And I said, well, how do you know that? And she said, because you're the non-powered boat. And I sort of laughed and I said, yeah, I said, you know that and I know that, but does he know that? So I sort of just waited back. I sort of waved the guy through, and he came through, and he was a little upset because I guess I made him wait or something. And he came through, and then we safely made it back into our own little pool of water. The reason I'm telling you this story is it reminds me of something that happened to me when I first started dragon boating. When I started dragon boating, I joined a team a newly formed team. So I was one of the original members of a new team. And we practiced on a river in Florida that was a brackish river, which means it's a combination of fresh water and salt water. And about a year, after about my first year of paddling, I became the coach of that team. So I have a year experience, and now I'm coaching this team on this river. On this river, there's a lot of crab traps. So there's a lot of crabbers. They trap stone crabs, and if people don't know what that is, a stone crab is it's a rather small body, but it has very big claws. What they do is they harvest the crabs, they take off one claw, and then they release the crab. That way the crab has one working claw, and the claw that they removed grows back. It's a 6-month season. It's May until October. So on this river, there was a lot of crabbers, and a lot of these guys this is how they made a living. So they had hundreds of traps. Stone crab claws are very expensive because all you're buying is the claws, and they're big and they're meaty. A stone crab claw can actually crack a lobster, or not a lobster, an oyster shell with it. So they're very powerful. So one day we had 2 guys on the team that they used to race a tandem kayak. So one day they approached me after practice and they said, we'd like to maybe someday race the tandem kayak against the dragon boat. And I said, oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. So we set up a course. It was basically a 5K course. So it was an out and a back. So we set a buoy. So, we'd go out, the idea was turn around the buoy and come back to the start line. First boat back wins, right? So we start this race, and the kayak takes an early lead on us, and they're putting a little bit of distance on us, and I'm pushing this team as hard as I can. And we're like, come on, we just got to get close. We just got to get close. So they made the turn. They're headed back. We're still headed towards the turn. They come by us, and they look strong. These 2 pretty old guys, but they're experienced racers, and they look good. So we make the turn, and now I really start pushing because we're halfway, right? So now it's go time. So I start pushing, and I notice that we're starting to gain on them. We're starting to close the gap. We're moving on them, right? And so the closer we get, the louder I get, the more excited I get. And we're catching them. We're catching them, and I'm yelling. I'm screaming. I'm like, we're catching them. Like, give me more. Give me more. We're gonna do this. And I could feel it. I could feel this was gonna be a really cool finish, and we were gonna take them right at the end. Well, just as we're getting near the finish, there's a guy, a commercial crab guy, and he's out pulling his traps. So the way they do this is the captain of the boat drives, he's on the back operating the motor, and there's 2 guys in the front, and they pull the traps, they pull the claws off, they release the crabs, they rebait the trap, and they throw it back out. And they're moving fast because they have hundreds of traps and they're trying to make a living. So the kayak goes past this crabber, and just as I get up there, he decides he's going to back this boat out, and he doesn't even look. So he backs the boat out right in front of the dragon boat. And I'm like, hold the boat. I'm screaming, right? We almost hit this guy. So we stopped the boat. And most of you that are on here today know me. I'm a pretty easygoing guy, but I have this competitive side about me also. And this guy just stole victory from my team. And that was it. I blew up. I lost it. I let him have it. I used every name in the book, and I'm just screaming at this guy. And he looks at me, and he's this like grizzled old crabber, right? I mean, it's just scary looking at this guy. He looks like your typical crabber would look, right? So he decides that he's had enough of me, so he starts screaming back. So now we're in this big argument right in the middle of the river, right? And then he says something to me like, you know, perhaps you should read your rule book. He said, a working vessel always has the right of way. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, uh-oh, did I just screw up here? Did I not know the rules of the water? Anyhow, he gets out of my way. We go on, we finish the race, we lose the race. And I'm not in the best of mood. And so I go home and I'm thinking about this, and I'm looking through like books like Florida, it's Florida Fish and Wildlife is like the water police. I'm looking through stuff and I can't find anything to back up what this guy's telling me. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna call Fish and Wildlife. So I call them, and it's like an 800 number. I call them and I go through this whole story, right? So this woman answers the phone. I go through my whole story. I get to the end of the story and she says, "What's a dragon boat?" And I'm like, oh. So she said, "I'm going to transfer you to somebody else." So she transfers me to some guy. I tell him the story. He says, "I don't really know what a dragon boat is either." So he said, "I'm going to have to," he said, "Why don't you call your local chapter?" And he gives me the number. So basically what I was doing was calling Tallahassee, which is like 200 miles away. It's nowhere near the water, so they have no idea what I'm talking about. So I call the local chapter near my house or near the river down there. And somebody answers the phone and I tell them the story and they said, we'll look into it. We'll let you know. And I said, okay, thanks. And a couple of days goes by, I don't hear anything, and I'm like, well, this is a dead issue. Nothing's ever going to happen with this. I'm never going to get my answer. So about a week later, the phone rings, and I answer the phone, and it's this guy from Fish and Wildlife, and he tells me, he said that a working vessel has the right of way over any other powered boat, but a working vessel does not have the right of way over a non-powered boat. He said, you had the right of way. And I'm like, yes, victory, right? I go to practice and I tell everybody, you know, that I tell them the story and they're like, oh yeah, cool. You know, you were right. And so we go out on the river and every once in a while we would see this guy. And so my crew started calling this guy the crabby crabber because he's just this mean, crabby old man. And they would say, hey, Mondrell, why don't you take the boat over there? Why don't you give him a piece of your mind? Why don't you just set him straight on the rules? And I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. In fact, I'm going to go whenever I see this guy, I would go to the other side of the river just to avoid him. And I didn't care if he saw me doing it. I didn't care if he knew that I was afraid of him because I was. And so I would avoid this guy. So that's basically my story for today. The moral of the story is that when you're on the water, don't ever think that because you know the rules, that don't go by the rules, because most of the people out there, especially power boaters, they don't know the rules. So always stay on the side of safety and don't try to make a point of things when you're on the water. Always keep your crews safe and do the right thing, even if you do have the right of way. My hat for today is basically, this is the kind of hat that crabbers wear. They wear a nasty, dirty, old, beat-up baseball hat, and they usually advertise some sort of cheap beer. So today, this is Pabst Blue Ribbon, because a crabber would never drink like a high-quality beer. They would never drink a craft beer because it's not part of their image. So that's today's hat. I also have the motivational board. I don't have a quote on there today, but what I do have is, you're gonna have to enjoy some of my artwork also. So stone crab claws, $29.99 per pound, and there's my, that's actually a pretty good drawing of a crab claw, don't you think? Anyhow, that's about it for today. And I'm gonna switch this. I'm gonna switch this back to Pat. Thanks for listening.
Mike, do you have that fly hat that you showed us on Facebook the other day? That fly hat?
I do, Randy, but I took I actually took the tape off of it because the flies on there were still alive and they were buzzing. So I folded it over and I made him suffer a little bit and I threw it in the trash.
Oh.
I actually went this morning again and they were bad and I didn't think they would be because it was breezy and they're usually not bad when it's breezy. So I'll get it on a future episode though. Thanks for asking about that.
Great.
Okay. I think I made Pat the host, right?
I don't know. That was awesome, Mondrell. I would love to have seen you lose it. I've never seen you lose it. I would love to see that. I need to see that. Good for you. And I think if somebody had said, knowing your crew, I'm surprised that when they said you're not under power, I would have said, oh yeah, I am. Look at these girls. We're under power. We're overpowered.
Yeah.
Great. And so thanks for that again, Mondrell. I love the Mondrell moment, which is getting, it's more like moments. Doug, thanks a ton, man. It was so much fun being with you again and good to see you. You look great. Chris Del Rey, you continue to be an inspiration to all of us. I love that story, and I tell a lot of people about you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the opportunity.
I want to thank Liz is actually the producer of the show this week. She's the one that got our guests and hooked them all up and spent a long time with Doug acquainting him with Zoom and how it works. And I actually videoed Liz working with Doug. And Doug, you should have seen this side of that video. No, Doug, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything, Doug. We're good. It was hilarious. So thanks for that. And Liz has also got things organized for next week as well. And next week, we've got 2 of the 3 presenters so far. Andrea from Orlando runs a program called Dueling Dragons. It used to be called Cops for Kids. And it's a program that they have for, I don't know what we call it. We used to call them inner city kids or kids that maybe a little bit underprivileged. And it's a program where the police work with the kids and get them into dragon boats. They have a dragon boat program. So kind of cool there. And our other presenter, a really colorful guy, his name is Bob Kane. Bob Kane is actually from the Villages, and he runs a program called Sparta 70. They're 70-year-old, 70 plus. I think their average age for their 70 plus is 82. They're really real competitive program. He drives them like they're a premier program. This guy's got more passion for this sport than you believe. Real colorful presenter. So I think you're going to enjoy him. So thanks again to the presenters. Thanks, Liz, for hooking that up. That was a blast. And we call this thing Around the World, Paddling the World in 60 Minutes. And for the last several episodes, it's taken us longer. So we're going to have to get some rest this week and try to get it all done in 60 minutes next week. All right. So I got nothing left. Thank you, everybody. It was so good to see you again. And thanks for we're national team people. That's good.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.